are here to guide you through the ins and outs of a lifestyle that's transformed not just our lives, but the lives of countless women navigating the waves of perimenopause and menopause. Whether you're here to shed weight, understand your body better, or simply find a community that gets it, you're in the right place. So sit back and enjoy the next few minutes as we tackle the hot issues of today.
Good morning.
Good morning. Welcome back.
Yeah, I'm back today. Last week, where was I going? I was going to the governor's house, I think, last week. It's been a crazy week.
The week before that, you were on vacation.
I was on vacation, yes. So I'm back. It's good to be back. But thank you for taking the mic for us this last week. It was a good week. We had a good meeting with the governor. Got to really speak into him about health and the future of what making Indiana healthy again looks like. And so we had a really good session with him on that. And I think he got it. I think he understood it. And just, that's what we do. We have to go and any time anybody, especially officials, will listen, that's what we're here to do. So that's what I did. We're getting ready to take off to DC on Saturday. We're going to go down to the mall and rededicate America to God is what the plan is. So I don't know what's going to happen. So what about you? You're still taxiing?
Yeah. I added on a new sport. It's the same sport, but a different sport. Same sport, but different place.
Yeah.
We've got 2 golf until school's out, and then we've got baseball and all the funsies things. So
enjoy it.
Yeah.
Enjoy it while you have it.
Yeah.
And be thankful it's not soccer because they really stink when those kids get in your car.
I know you want to know what I'm talking about when I say it doesn't even matter if they're playing a sport. If they step outside for 15 minutes and they come inside, it's like they have a wet dog smell.
Yeah.
So
it's boys.
It doesn't matter. It is boys. I don't get it.
Yeah. My girl didn't do that. She was nice and fresh all the time.
I don't get it.
Even she gets done working at Menard, she's still nice and pretty and fresh. I'm like, what in the world? Oh, so today we're going to talk about something that's just foundational. It's just going to be simple. If you are watching us live, please say hi to us. Make us feel like we are not in this room alone. If you're watching this or if you're hearing this on podcast, we're glad you're here. We actually had a podcast last week. You got to love electronics. And it was probably me. The problem behind the electronics, but we just knocked out an incredible podcast, and I went to upload it, and you were there.
I
was there 6 minutes in, and then I was not. So it was like you were just talking to yourself. But I was talking. You could see my lips moving. So we have to re-record that this week because it was such a good one. We don't want to skip over it. And so we're going to record that. But if you're watching us or listening to us on a podcast, you're listening to us live.
Yeah.
We like these shows because you never know what'll happen during these shows. We've had some trolls come in here, but we've had some really nice people come in here too. So we try to answer your questions as we see them pop up on our screen. But today we're going foundational because I think that in this day and age of fast weight loss, we skip the foundation. And you and I have a passion of helping people keep the weight off. Our passion goes beyond that scale. It's always exciting when you have a client say, I lost 2 pounds this week. Yay. But the more exciting thing is what I got to experience last week, where I had a complete reversal of diabetes. So, that's our passion. But when you do fast weight loss, you miss the foundation, and there's a big crack in your foundation. And so today we're just going to we're going to fill in with some glue. We're going to fill in that foundational principle. Again, we take this from James Clear, Atomic Habits. Literally, he's a miracle worker. And we're going to talk about self-control. Sometimes you and I say willpower, when it comes to self-control, and willpower he's fake news. Yeah. There is no willpower. because life. And I thought I would start off, and I don't usually do this, but it's so good. And there's a lot of numbers in here, and I'm not good at remembering those things or repeating stories back. I have struggles even repeating Bible stories back. You know, that one guy in that one chapter, and he said something that I can't remember what it was, but it was really good. That's how I do. So instead of doing that, I'm going to read you. I'm going to read you this, and then we're gonna break it down. So we're going to talk about the secret of self-control. In 1971, as the Vietnam War was heading into its 16th year, Congressman Robert Steele from Connecticut and Morgan Murphy from Illinois made a discovery that stunned the American public. While visiting troops, he had learned that over 15% of U.S. soldiers stationed there were heroin addicts. Follow-up research revealed that 35% of service members in Vietnam had tried heroin, and as many as 20% were addicted. The problem was even worse than they had initially thought. The discovery led to a flurry of activity in Washington, including the creation of Special Action Office of Drug Abuse Prevention under President Nixon to promote prevention and rehabilitation to track addicted service members when they returned home. This is where the story takes a turn. Lee Robbins was one of the researchers in charge in finding that completely upended the accepted beliefs about addiction. Robbins found, excuse me, that when soldiers had been heroin users, when they returned home, only 5% of them became re-addicted within a year, and just 12% relapsed within 3 years. In other words, approximately 9 out of 10 soldiers who used heroin in Vietnam eliminated their addiction overnight. This finding contradicted the prevailing view at the time, which considered heroin addiction to be permanent and an irreversible condition. Instead, Robbins revealed that addictions could spontaneously dissolve if there was a radical change in the environment. In Vietnam, soldiers spent all day surrounded by cues triggering that heroin use. It was easy to access. They were engulfed by the constant stress of war. They built friendships with fellow soldiers who were also heroin users, and they were thousands of miles from home. Once a soldier returned to the United States, though, he found himself in an environment devoid of those triggers. When the context changed, so did the habit. So this is a big deal because in our coaching practice, it is very hard to keep clients from relapsing. And I think that story spoke to me because what they're missing, and if you failed in weight loss, what you're missing is that you haven't changed that foundational principle of changing your environment, changing those cues, changing the stress, changing what you see in your kitchen, changing the way you drive home from work, changing those things that trigger that cue. When you have a cue, it leads directly to the craving. Then you have a response. Then you have a reward because you went and you drove into Dairy Queen, you know? Did you get that, Darce?
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit. Darce, talk a little bit about that because we talked about this in group last night. Give us some examples, and I kind of hinted at one, but give us some examples of how when you don't change your environment, you're going to not have willpower. It's just not strong enough.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So I think I caught the one on if you are driving on your way home and you typically go through McDonald's drive-thru and get a sweet tea every single day because you've just developed this habit of after you are done with work, driving home, I need, that trigger. You've created that dopamine pathway, that neural pathway in your brain that is going to help you relax from being stressed out at work. Or, whatever you have created and linked that and anchored that core memory to, you have anchored that to a sweet tea.
Mm-hmm.
So, driving on either the farther side of the road, if it's a 2-lane road, staying in the middle lane so that you don't have the opportunity to drive into the McDonald's easier, or like you were mentioning, drive a different way home from work if that's available to you. Choosing a highway instead of, back roads that give you more opportunities to pull over to a gas station.
Yeah.
So many different ways to do that. But the biggest thing is creating an environment where you are making things that you are struggling with invisible. And how do you do that? By putting things away, by not buying them, by not setting these things out on the counter, by I think replacing even those things that you usually have out on the counter so that you see them easier. That is a healthier option for you. Putting things in the freezer instead of the refrigerator. So, like you were mentioning last night, instead of depending on the keto sweets that we love so much, even though they're healthy, we can still overindulge in them. It can still do some things to your brain and cause you to have that trigger, that addiction, that emotional response. Then you overeat it. That's why I don't create sweets in my house anymore, because I've lost the that mindset of I can only eat one. No, I'm going to eat the whole thing. So sticking it in the freezer instead of the refrigerator will make it a little bit more challenging for you to eat.
And you just
consume.
know that about yourself. Know that was the first thing you ever did, was you acknowledged, hey, when I make these things, I'm going to eat them. That's not shaming yourself.
No,
that's just a reality. That's just a reality. Yeah. And so you choose to make it invisible. Yeah.
And I actually did that where I made a pecan pie, and that was probably a Thanksgiving pecan pie. I don't know, Christmas, I think. But it's been in my freezer since then, and I have not touched it. I know it's there, but I'm less desired to go out and thaw out a piece of pie. I just honestly did not want to waste, because I shouldn't have eaten the other ones to begin with. So that is a good way of making something invisible. The magic of seeing things is so powerful. I'm like, why did God create us to have eyes to begin with? Is to see those things clearly and to make notice, and to there's a lot more reasons for that.
And there's even a scientific word for that. It's called cue-induced wanting.
Yeah.
Once you notice something, you begin to want it. Our first reaction to everything is the cue. A sign, a literal, the golden arches, the red Dairy Queen sign, that is a cue. And then it causes that cue. It starts the process in your brain of, I need this.
Yeah.
This cue turned on that craving. And so if you cut it off from the cue, and I'm not joking about driving a different way home, because those things are emotional. I remember I was driving home. I was driving somewhere yesterday, and I remembered when I was almost 300 pounds and I would go to work, I remember driving into the BP gas station and grabbing a couple of sandwiches plus the hash browns. And that was a moment for me. And I remember driving by BP yesterday and thinking, oh my gosh, I remember how good those tasted. And so when you know this about yourself, and you know how weak our willpower is, and those cravings and those cues are so strong, literally drive a different way. Don't go home that way, because the minute you see that sign, it's a cue-induced wanting, and you're not going to forget it. Now, maybe you might be successful one time going, but then when you get home, you've already turned that cue on and you're already craving. So then that has a potential of opening up a binge. When you get home, that's something you didn't even want in the first place, but you've already turned that cue on. Now you're craving. Now your body's like, reward me now,
That brings me to what you just read at the beginning with the James Clear. We talked a little bit about this last night, about how the 5% of people that were addicted to heroin over in, where was it? Okinawa?
Vietnam. Yeah.
Could have been Okinawa. But over there, they had an addiction. They brought it over that 5%. It's not a very big amount because they didn't have it accessible. But there was still 12% 3 years later. Like that number grew. And I think what we're looking at here is more of the fact that they did not maybe have the ability to work on that PTSD that they had, and that they didn't have that PTSD when they were doing heroin. They were, they triggered, they had triggers of war going on, and that comfort that they created with the heroin because they were in amongst the war. But did I lose you?
Yep. There you are.
There. Did you lose me?
Well, one of us was gone.
I know.
Yeah.
Anyway, so going over there and then coming back to the States, where they not in Vietnam, if you think about it, they did not come home with people with, with open arms.
Right.
And they did not, say, yay, you went to war for us. They were not happy about that. So that was a new creation of a PTSD that they had all those emotions.
Yeah.
I don't feel like they encourage these men of war to sit down and work through these things that they saw overseas, and the things that they connected with comfort over there, they didn't have until in the 70s it became more prevalent that heroin was actually more easily accessible.
Right.
So as it became easily accessible, then they remembered that comfort. They remembered how they felt, and they wanted just to wipe away those emotions. And then they went to the heroin. And I think we do that with our food. When we are going and depending on something that brings us comfort, where you were talking, what was the word that you used, that connection?
The cue-induced wanting.
The cue-induced wanting. When you first try it and you were in an emotional state when you had it, even if it was happiness, you already paired a connection with emotion with that item, and you anchored it. That
was another story he gave in the same chapter about a woman who wanted to quit smoking.
Yeah.
And she loved smoking when she was riding her horses. She had connected those two memories together, anchored them together, and she stopped smoking, and she did wonderful until she got back on a horse. And those memories came flooding back. And that's when she wanted a cigarette. And so it's all connected in your brain. And this is where you have to get rid of the shame. Now, you have to do hard things.
Yeah.
But this is where you have to say, I failed. I can't do it. No, it's just acknowledging what actually is happening in your brain that makes you want to do these things. I work a lot in the jail. And I watch these on the rehabilitation side, and I watch people be released into the community that were addicted to drugs before. They did fine in jail. They were not on drugs. They were living their best life. They get out. Where did they go? They went right back home where their friends and family are who did not support them. And those are the ones who relapse. And those are the ones who fail because they went back to their environment. And with our clients, we've got a lot of enablers because in our world, food addiction comes with enablers because food, our drugstore is the grocery store. That's where we go. And so it's not looked upon as an addiction. And so it is very easy. That's why you do not hit, you are in recovery until 7 years. When 7 years, then you're in a remission. So you're watching this thing a lot longer than those men that went to war. It's 7 years before you are in remission when you struggle with food addiction or sugar addiction. So
in the meantime, though, during those 7 years, you have to keep in mind that you are working hard at teaching yourself how to keep yourself on guard.
Yeah.
Because you can go 7 years without something, and then like the lady on the horse, after years, many, many years later, that anchor of horse riding and smoking paired together will trigger something in you. If you have not worked hard and developed a foundation of knowing that, I need to make a healthier option when I am riding this horse instead of smoking, the thing that I don't want to do, you can easily make a transfer, a addiction transfer with it. But that's why you need to do the hard things so that you don't go back to depending on those things.
Yeah. Yeah. Which makes the foundation of all of this learning. I was with a client this week and they were like, oh, Darcy said this most brilliant thing in the last session about experimenting on yourself. Get to know yourself. What did she say? using yourself as a big science experiment.
Mhm.
You've got to
Yeah.
study yourself. Where are your weak spots? Because my weak spots are not what yours are.
Right.
Some people can't go at Hacienda because there's the crunch of the chips. I can go there just fine because those don't trigger me. Triggers can change, and donuts were my thing. If I go into a donut shop now, 7 years later, I can go into a donut shop and they don't trigger me at all. But
Right.
in those 7 years, there's places I couldn't go.
Right.
And it was worth it to me for my recovery not to do that.
It's a very important thing when you are making these things invisible to also make the things that are make them undesirable. I think the donuts come easy to you now because they are undesirable to you. They smell. They have a certain smell.
They do. Yes.
And I don't like the smell of it.
Yeah.
There's certain things that, my kids will have that I'm like, and I am like smelling it and I'm like, this is gross. Like, why would you eat this?
Yeah.
Because over the years, I've made it undesirable.
Yeah.
I've told myself, this is poison for myself. This is not beneficial for my body.
Yeah.
This is not going to help me stay on my goal. And so I have done the work to make something undesirable. And that, and James Clear talks about that too. But while you do that, you can also make it invisible and, not let it be seen. There was this, I'm telling on myself right now. So just prepare. There are 2 things that we tell our clients not to eat.
Yes.
And I put them together.
Yes.
So I might as well out myself.
Okay. Because I'm going to say
do it. Well, I decided that there was a thing that said if you put peanut butter inside of a date, it tastes like a Snickers bar.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
like, so I ate it. I'm like, oh, this tastes fine. This is great. I mean, I'm like, I don't remember what a Snickers bar tastes like. So I couldn't tell you if it even tastes like one or not because I've made it undesirable.
Yes.
Now, I used very little amount, just so you know, very little amount of peanut butter. I actually used like one of those orange peelers that, Tupperware had and like the spoon thing at the end that you're supposed to pick it at it. Like I used like that much on it in a very small date. So anyway, even in our ageless keto, we can have dates. So anyway,
unless you can't.
Unless you can't. But anyway,
I can. Mine is mangoes. Yeah.
I did not want to have any more of that. It was so sweet. Dates are so sweet.
Yeah.
They will kick you out of ketosis. So if you are purposely trying to keep yourself out of ketosis, eat dates.
There you go. Yeah. Mine was mangoes, those dried sugar-free.
Yeah.
And it's literally like gummy bears. I'm a fruity girl. I can turn down chocolate any day of the week, but fruity things I can't. And those mangoes are like gummy bears to me. And so I had to make them invisible because I have been a coach for, I'm going to be free from sugar for 9 years. So I've been coaching 8 years and I'm at my weight loss goal. I am healthy. I can't do that. And that's something I had to actually admit. And so I have to make them invisible. If you have a family who is, carboholics and you can't be, ladies, you can't have them visible. Guys, you can't have them visible. When my kids were old enough, they bought their own carbs. They had a carb cupboard that was not accessible to me. And that was okay. You know what? It freed me so that I've kept my 130 pounds off for 9 years now. That was worth it to me. You've got to be tough. You've got to stand up for yourself. I'm a feminist at heart. I don't agree with all of their stuff, but I'm a feminist at heart, and I want to tell you, I can control everything. I can't. I am weak. And so I have to make these things invisible or I will compromise, especially when you get to your weight loss goal. When you get to your weight loss goal, your guards come down, which is exactly why we regain the weight. Guards don't come down after you hit that magical number on the scale. It just doesn't. I wish I could tell you it did. And our GLP-1 friends, you've got a fake guard up because you're medicated. The minute you stop that, those guards come tumbling down. And the bad thing is you haven't learned the lifestyle in order to stop that. And that's why the weight comes back 30 pounds a month.
Yeah.
So you have to go through this as well. You can't take any shortcuts and expect long-term results. You just can't.
Yeah.
So when you realize that, and when you're like, okay, these stupid coaches, they're saying stupid things, but actually they're right.
Yeah.
You got to do hard things. Regardless if you're medicated, you've got to learn hard things. And these hard things are hard to, I don't want to tell you that I'm weak. I want to tell you that I got this thing down, but I don't.
Yeah.
Unless I make it invisible until I know that I am out of the woods, I can't use my willpower.
Yeah.
Willpower does not work. He sucks.
Yeah.
He's
I
fake.
would add a question, to kind of put out there to challenge our, people out there about, well, I'm not a food addict. Basically, if you're not a food addict, you may be in that category of not having insulin resistance. If you have insulin resistance, you may have a food addiction problem. Even those that, are the skinny fat, you may have a food addiction problem too. I've noticed that when what got me to the weight that I was at, I realized certain things that I would do with food. It was after stress.
Yeah.
After my kids, that when they went back to bed, I've shared this several times. When they would go to bed, I was done for the day and I would need a relief. And so that was my first recognition of emotional eating.
Yeah.
Then my second one is the thing I don't have control over is when I've eaten something so much of it that my mouth is starting to have sores in it.
Mm-hmm.
I can do that with those mangoes that you're talking about. I can do that even with pork rinds. When I'm overeating something, my mouth has been abused because I've had too much of something.
Yeah.
And for you, it might be something different. I would just highly encourage you out there for our listeners is that just like our other client said about, being researchers of yourself. That's the most
I was trying to think of researchers.
Yes. Researchers of yourself is so important because we are not the same. We do not work the same. Your addiction cure is going to be different than my addiction cure. So you recording information about yourself, you acknowledging that your mouth is sore now after you've eaten way too many of those siete chips or whatever it is out there that you are eating too much of that you cannot say no to or even portion out for a serving size. If you keep thinking about it, even if I keep thinking about the desserts that I made that are in my fridge, that is a problem. That is something that you need to identify and acknowledge that maybe I do have a problem. Maybe I say that I'm not a sugar addict. I'm saying that I'm not a carb addict. But if I can't sit here in my couch or at my office or wherever or my car and not think about the consumption of that food, then I would say maybe you got a problem. Maybe you need to acknowledge it.
But one out of 3 people have. One out of 3 people have this. So you're not an abnormal problem. You're a normal problem.
It's just that we don't take doing the hard things of acknowledging it and letting ourselves know that we have an addiction. I mean, people with alcoholic problems and drug addicts, they all have to acknowledge that this is ruining their life. Food is the same way. Food is ruining your life if you are overweight, insulin resistant. Inside, if you are skinny fat, where your insides, your organs are covered with, of the fat that it's suffocating those organs that you may not be able to see on the outside. You're not, free and clear from this either.
Right.
So what we tend to do is depend on these foods for comfort, and that was me, and that's where I did that as a child. I binge ate candy as a child, and I knew where it started from because I did the hard things and I wrote in my journal about my childhood and what I would do with the money that I made after working for my mom, like things like that. All of those things connect.
Of which you made more than I did
by $1.
Always have to bring that up. You're the baby. But it's so funny that you say sores in your mouth, because when I have those mangoes, I remember waking up the next morning after doing probably half of a bag, and my jaw felt like I had been working in the garden all day. I'm like, why does my muscles in my face hurt? Because they're so hard.
You worked those muscles real well.
I did. I was trying to work on my double chin. That's what I was trying to do. Yes.
I get it.
I know. You're not broken, guys. This is all, it's all chemically connected in your brain. Those pathways are powerful. One of the scariest things of the GLP-1 is those things are shut off. The dopamine pathways are shut off intentionally because that's the goal of the drug. And so you have to know this and say, you know what, I'm not feeling it, but I know that chemically what is happening is I'm connecting those pathways, and that, you know, when the drug stops or when you realize it, hopefully in time, then you can deal with it. But fixing these foundational things, guys, you cannot start a diet program without changing your environment. You don't have enough willpower. I don't know of any single person who has the willpower who is addicted to sugar or carbs that can withstand a temptation. And then you bring in the social pressures, the social aspects of just one bite won't hurt you. Yeah. Just one bite. You've got to have those hard conversations and change your environment. Sometimes you have to change your friends. Unfortunately, if it is serious enough, you've got to change your friends, and you've got to say, listen, I need your support or I cannot hang out with you because I'm going to relapse if I am with you. Those things are very, very important.
Yeah.
But understanding the chemical balances in your brain that cause you to relapse is the first step. So I'm going to read the last chapter, and then we can either land the plane or if you got anything else to say. But this last paragraph in this chapter is where we ended our group last night. I think it's so powerful. All right. If you remove a single cue and then the entire habit often fades away. Self-control is a short-term strategy, not a long-term one. You may be able to resist temptation once or twice, but it is unlikely that you will muster the willpower to override your desires every time. Instead of summoning a new dose of willpower whenever you want to do the right thing, your energy would be better spent optimizing your environment. This is the secret to self-control. Make the cues of your good habits obvious and the cues of your bad habits invisible. And I will add to that, grab a coach. You can't do this alone. If you can do it alone, you would be on this chat watching us saying, I'm at my goal weight. I have been living in remission for 5 years. Haven't gained any weight back. Everything is great. For you, let us give you a ribbon. Yeah. But for everybody else, you cannot rely on willpower. You need somebody to walk with you. You need a support team. And that's what we do. Every day we wake up and we're the support team for those people who are trying to change their life and trying to heal, reverse diabetes, reverse disease, and lose weight. So all of that together creates a recipe for long-term weight loss, which is all I care about. I don't care about short-term weight loss.
Yeah.
We've been there, done that.
Right. Yeah, we're done with that. And so we teach our clients to fish.
Yeah.
Because when you're able to go out there and know what to do in a chaotic world, then you are finding yourself in freedom. So that's what I would say.
If you need help, our website is kmhealthcoaching.org. We are here. What we suggest that you do is set up an interview with us first, because we have lots of different programs with lots of different prices. And we don't want you in the wrong one. So set up a health exam or health. What is the word I want? Health.
I just lost it too. I'm trying to think so hard what it is.
A meeting. Set up a meeting.
That's initially what you're looking for.
Yeah. A health assessment.
Consult.
Consult. Yeah. Just talk to us first. Okay. Yes. Just talk to us first, and we'll be glad to help you. Our signature program, and really the two that we recommend the most, unless you come to us with hormone issues and menopause and perimenopause, those kinds of things, we still start you out with our Weight Loss Plus program, and that's where we put a CGM on your arm, and you have a 24/7 coach. 3 months, one-on-one, weekly with Coach Darcy or myself. Every week, we want to look you in the eyes and we want to see what you're doing. But that CGM helps us coach you 24/7. There's nothing that you can do that we don't see. And
Right.
that is what makes it successful. So those are where we start you at, unless you come to us with a hormone issue. And we still start you out there because we want to get a baseline of you. We want to know what your body does. Every single client of ours is different. If you have an addiction, then we do have to start you out in the food addiction program, because that is a completely different pathway. It's abstinence and it's hard work. So any closing thoughts, Coach?
I mean, I feel like you covered a lot.
Yeah.
I would just say, hey, if you would share this out with your friends, family, if you are, noticing yourself that you need a coach, or if you're noticing someone in your family that's struggling and keep saying, I want to do this naturally, I don't want to depend on a GLP-1, whatever it is, whatever situation that you're in, this is a great space. We're going to ask you to work hard, but that hard work is going to pay off.
Yeah,
no.
Totally. All right. Well, we will be back next week. We're here on Tuesday. Is this Tuesday?
It is Tuesday.
We're here
and we were on time.
We're on time. Yeah, we're going to download this into our podcast. So you all are going to get the live experience. Everything's good today. It's a good day today. Yeah. And it's nice. It's beautifully warm outside. So I think I haven't been outside yet, but I see
it's kind of chilly.
Okay. I'll stay inside and say it's beautiful. All right, guys, you are so loved. We'll see you next Tuesday.
Bye.